Good day, guys, and welcome to another interesting episode of Techtalk with Afo. I'm still struggling to get the right pronunciation because it sounds like ChatGPT to me.
The iPhone 13 today we are using now is a flip apple-shaped phone. I don't think that would look cool.
And I don't understand what boys, you guys have about it. This sagging thing, like pulling down your pants and for people to see your underwear. I don't understand the sense in it. Are you guys aware that over 90% of the world's currency is digital? Today we'll be talking about genetics engineering.
The genetically modified monkeys, right? So that was how we came to being.
If you guys are ready, Afo is also ready. The previous episode, we talked about cybercrime and the various methods of attack by cyber criminals, or Yahoo boys as we call them. Today, I also have in the studios with me my co-host, Ife and Kesa. Can you guys make yourself... Ife, are you there? Kesa, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Are you ready for the second episode?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, good.
So, for starters, let's just know that the last episode we had, people wanted to have it in other parts. Part C or part C of
so that means they enjoyed it then. I would say they enjoyed it.
I believe they did. Right. There's emphasis on us, delving more into more details. How people can really be protected from cyber crime. I have someone very close to me that was a victim of that WhatsApp scam, right? People would send you a WhatsApp message with different things you can subscribe for, investment and all of that. And the minute you click on whatever they ask you to click on, it takes over your account and they will go to all the groups you had to start asking for all manner of things. Anyways, so people need more information. They need to be more educated. So today we'll be talking about genetics engineering. If you guys remember in our introduction, we really talked about this idea of manufacturing babies. So our topic today, the main topic today, is around this genetic engineering. And some of the things that we've added to the program going forward is also to look at trending tech news and also to share some tech facts. My friends, Kesta and Ife, will do justice to some of these topics. If you guys are ready, Afo is also ready. Ife, you want to say something? You're always liking to jump into conversation straight away. Ife, what do you want to say?
So there's this right before this show. So I was reading an article on genetic engineering, and there's this conspiracy about we humans evolving from monkeys. So there's this planet called from the conspiracy book I read. So there's this planet called Nibiru's. So Nibiru's is this planet that exists in our solar system, but it rotates between Jupiter and Mars. So it comes every 3,600 years. So the author was like saying, so the people living on Nibiru's, they came to Earth, the genetically modified monkeys, right? So that was how we came to being. So it's also...
So in another 3,000 years, there will be another genetically modified set of people that would run on the earth, right? Is that what you're saying?
So in another 3,000 years, there will be
anyways, Kester, I think we need to move forward. Let's start with our tech news, right? The first tech news we want to talk about today is ChatGPT. I'm still struggling to get the right pronunciation because it sounds like Chat GPT to me. And GBT in our local parlance is scam, right? Cheating.
Yeah.
And interestingly, what Chat GPT does is technically cheating, right? Chat GPT is an AI that was originally developed for the purpose of assisting developers, right? But right now,
Yeah.
it's doing a whole lot of stuff, and educators are worried. For example, in the news, Australian universities are bringing back pen and paper, and they are saying, you know what, we have to stop students from using AI in exams, right? Chat GPT responds to natural language questions on any topic. It can hold a conversation, write marketing copy, or debug codes. It has written fake scientist reports that fool scientists and even written a children's book,
I
right?
actually
So it's
feel
as sophisticated as that. So, Kester, what is it about this news? Chat GPT. What
The
should
thing,
people know about it?
the company that created this, I think OpenAI.
yeah.
One of the things they said, because a lot of people came out complaining, so one of the things they said they would do is that for whatever produce, like whatever thing this ChatGPT comes out with, they're going to have a watermark to it, whatever you understand, a watermark that would make it clear that okay, this is a product of this ChatGPT, right?
Okay.
But
Yeah.
people are still not satisfied because there are so many softwares today that you can use to overwrite watermarks and even with your
Exactly.
phones. So it does not really change anything. It's not a bad thing, right? What matters is the application of it. In Australia, just as you said, Afo, right? They found students cheating with this, cheating, and so hence why they had to go back to pen and paper. You would think that is, it's a backward thing, but it's like a solution for them, right? Even in New York, they banned it from schools. That's this ChatGPT. They banned it from schools. So we want to have technological advancements. We want to have a lot of these things, and it's good. I'm all for that. But there ought to be regulations. And even when we say private individuals should not have the ability to make some certain type of things, even the government, right? They are involved in these things as well. So although that is me even jumping straight to the whole genetic, because me saying this now is kind of like
Okay. Kester, right? I agree with you that it should be regulated. Okay, but you also should also understand that the original reason why this was developed actually to advance research. To help the developers really wanted. Something that would make their job a lot easier, right? So, can you look at the good side of chat
Yeah.
GPT and
So what
see?
my
Yeah, go
own my
ahead.
own my own take is that innovation, as we all know, is something that cannot be stopped. So we should know that's first. So if you are trying to say you want to start bringing in pen and paper, you want to stop these
But
things,
it can be stopped, but it can be regulated, right?
yes, it can be regulated. But
And
I
so
actually
my
think rather
point
than
is, go ahead, make your point.
I actually think rather than there has to be some sort of regulations, right? And also, I think the educational system of the way we see education should really be changed. Like our educational structure should be changed as regards just telling kids to go and read on something, then memorize it for some hours before the exam. They now get to the exam hall and pour it down, and they totally forget. I think we actually have to change the structure of how we run the educational
something
system.
like this. Now, I just remembered about Elon Musk, right?
Yeah.
I think he built a school with a different, a whole different concept of how they educate, right? Because he said it, and honestly, when I read about that, I was like, I'm all for this, because right from when I was even in secondary school, I wasn't really a fan of our current educational system, right? Like, yes, I have to do this, but what about those things I really don't care about?
Because why should I memorize something I can easily go to Google and just search? Then Google
Yeah,
give me the answer.
so
Right.
so it's truly right. There is a whole lot, but at the same time, we want to make sure that there is value in these people that we are trying to impact. We give them actual value, not just.
Can you put this side by side on how this would really be like foundation for laziness, right? Okay, so if I actually can have an application that would do my thinking for me, right? An application that would get things done for me. I'm not using my brain for anything. And we all understand that humans' brain, right? The more you can, the more you can put it to work, the more you can get out of it. And like the news mentioned, right, that it's clear that if you allow this to go on, people would always find a way around it. It is better for us to see how to deal with it real time and understand that, right? If we're talking about education, if we're talking about running school, there are some things that must compulsorily happen. Do you understand? I think I really agree with this Australian school that is going for pen and paper, because really, before you get to the point of using AI, right, we really need to know that already you have authority in this particular subject matter. Do you understand? I'm sure you don't want to. You don't want someone that has the memory of and that probably wrote his medical exams with Chat GPT performing a surgery on you. If
no,
think about it.
I feel everything.
If you know, you said you're not for memorization. You're not for memorization, right? But you want to have this very important surgery. And the person that would man that surgery for you is someone that submitted his thesis or took his exams with Chat G. Chat.
So that's because that person is not taught on how to be creative. You know, in schools, like we are taught on how to memorize stuff. We are not taught on how to be.
I get you. My point is now I want to test the skills you know that Ife knows, not the skills Ife chat or Ife's chat GPT. You understand what I'm saying? It's a test of your own skills. Anyways, so that we don't dwell on this topic, I think this is a topic we probably can even have for, one episode. But let's move on to other facts, right? A new Alzheimer's drug that could slow the disease in its early stage was created and is said to also have side effects. This drug is called lencimab, right? You want to talk about that news, Kester?
Yeah, so it was created some years ago, and I've even forgotten the name of the company. There were two companies together, I think Enia or something, and another company. So it was created some years ago, and they did it with the point of, reducing this Alzheimer's case, right? Yeah. with people, and they had test subjects. I think about 1,800. That's 1,800 test subjects. That they had with this, and they had successes and all, but at the same time they had failures. And of although when you compare the percentage, not that large, of all amongst the 1,800 people, they had 5 of them that ended up with severe hemorrhage. You understand? Issue, right? From this, as a result of this. So it's a lot, because many people kept pushing for it to not go forward, and at the same time, and right now it's still on, like not officially on, but it's still there. The companies are still there, still doing their own research and all, and ultimately it has helped some people, right? Because when this Alzheimer's case starts affecting your memory, it's a very tough experience.
I think it exists in old
exactly
people.
when you have a loved one that is an elderly person that is starting to repeat things like what's the time like 5 times, it's a upsetting thing. So
it comes with age, actually.
Yes, when you think about the reason why they come up with this cure, right, solution, it's a noble thing. Actually, I think it's a noble thing. But the thing is, when it's at some point, right, I've always seen these side effects that has its bad sides, and the side effects are usually so great that you start to wonder, do we even, is it something we should still put out?
Like, are we there yet?
Yeah, do we need more testing, more, before we put this out? But the purpose for creating this, are noble. I think they are noble because to be able to help someone, right, to get better in that level it's amazing, right?
Health companies, they also use stuff like that as a front for money laundering.
Yes, absolutely.
So they'll tell you they are developing something, but they won't get there. Like they will never develop that thing. They'll just keep.
Exactly. So,
Yes. Okay. So let's move on to other facts. Ife, I want you to share with us some tech facts for the week. Some things that exist that people don't know those facts about some technology.
Right. Let me quickly go with one. I found that out recently and I was amazed. So the original concept for the Apple device as we know today, the original concept was an actual Apple shaped phone. Imagine how that would be, like if the iPhone 13 today we are using now is a flip Apple shaped phone. I don't think that would look cool. So that's an interesting.
But really, it's actually not too late for them to bring out a flip phone, right?
Yeah.
It's not too late. I mean, I kind of like this Samsung, flip, that you have.
Samsung's one is cool because but they were going to make it Apple shaped. The actual apple that you eat.
Oh, I get what you're saying. So that was going to be like an actual apple.
Exactly.
Like an apple shape. I thought what you meant was a flip phone.
A flip phone.
Oh, you meant it's going to be a flip phone in an apple shape.
In an apple shape.
That's weird. Which pocket would you put it? No, it's not awesome. That's not awesome.
And then again, I start to wonder if they had done that, it might have been our norm, and the otherwise might have been the weird
Trust
thing.
me. Exactly, because right now, I mean, it's really going to because you look at some things that we do these days. Sometimes you ask yourself that, are we really doing this? I agree with you. A good example of something I still cannot. I don't understand what boys, you guys have about it. This sagging thing, like pulling down your pants and for people to see your underwear. I don't understand the sense in it.
Sagging actually originated from the American prison.
Yes,
I get it, but because it's a prison thing, does it mean that everybody now should be crazy or what?
It's not appealing to some people.
I know, right?
To some people, it is fashion.
It's fashion and it's cool, but right from time, I've always found it there's no need. There's no need to.
Anyway, another fact. Are you guys aware that over 90% of the world's currency is digital?
90% of the world's currency?
Currency. Like money that moves around is actually digital currency.
And this includes money. Is it inclusive of cryptocurrency, money in the bank, or
Yes, now. Yes, okay. And all combined, money in bank, everything. Right? When they say when you talk about Nigerian has the X amount, blah blah blah, or you see these dollars that are moving around,
they are all stored digitally.
So that means
digitally, yes.
Cash we have circulating the world right now is just 10% of the cash in the
world. Exactly. The dollars that you see
Oh,
around, the
that's
naira you see
fascinating.
around, blah, blah, blah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Another important fact, right? Are you aware that 1 out of 12 million spam email receives a reply? 1 out of 12 million spam emails receive a reply.
Wow.
one.
And
You
over
know,
14 billion spam messages are sent on a daily basis.
whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. If you think about that, dude, when you say 1 out of 12 million, you would think, well, that's a small number. But then when you say over 14 billion
Billion.
messages per day, if you do the math, then that's a high number of people that click on
That are responding
that are
to
responding
spam
to
emails.
spam. You know, and this takes me back to our last episode when we were talking about spam emails
Spamming and all that.
so.
And I think in few years it will be really mitigated, because if you check Google, Gmail, Yahoo Mail, they are all like doing
a lot
they are
to cover.
incorporating some kind of encryptions to mails and all that.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a good number. For me, that's
Okay.
actually
Anyways, can we really now go to our real topic for the day? Hello, guys.
Genetic engineering,
Genetic
genetic
engineering.
morality,
Genetic engineering.
the morality of
Genetic
engineering.
engineering. Right? Let's go into genetic engineering. Right? The idea of the fact that you actually can doctor what human will look like, what a baby will look like, baby
Yeah,
manufacturing, changing the gene, right? Genetic engineering up to the extent of the fact that a woman doesn't necessarily have to carry a baby. You can have an artificial womb, right? And you really
capsule.
can mirror exactly what a woman womb will look like as against the woman carrying the baby, right? And there will really be some, justification for some of this. Okay, but for starters, can we start with, and I think this question, Ife will be in a better position to answer it, right? So they talk about Chris
CRISPR.
PR, or is it CRISPR or Chris PR,
CRISPR.
Yeah.
right?
So
Yeah, CRISPR, and where does it come from, right? This idea about around CRISPR, because I know it's on genetic
yeah.
engineering. Yeah.
So CRISPR actually comes from bacteria, prokaryotic bacteria. So prokaryotic beings they are like unicellular organisms, like bacteria. We are eukaryotic. So in the biological sense. So so in bacteria, so we have two things. We have bacteriophages. I don't know how this how these biologists, the way then we have bacteria, right? So these phages, we call them phages. These phages, they tend to like destroy bacteria in the body. So at the long run, these bacteria, they found a way to be able to genetically encode themselves through the use of CRISPR. So CRISPR is just like a protein that is found in a cell. Yeah. So because humans are made up of cells, right? You have about 200 billion cells in your body right now, like 200 trillion cells. And even in unicellular organisms, we have like 10 to 6 cells and all that thing. So I don't want to go into too much details in biological details. So what CRISPR does is that, so when we have a DNA strand, so when there's a default in a DNA strand, so and you inject CRISPR into an embryo or into a being, so CRISPR actually breaks the DNA. It breaks the DNA strands. It cuts it of using Cas9. So Cas9 is part of, is a protein like from CRISPR. Yeah, it's an enzyme, and enzymes they are like organic catalysts that speeds up the rate of chemical reactions. Yeah. So those are enzymes. So with the use of Cas9, so you can be able to. So it is actually simple in the sense that you are just basically deleting strands, then replacing it. So in you are deleting some strands of DNA, then you are replacing it with another. So that's what CRISPR basically does. And but the one thing that makes it stands out is that CRISPR, it takes about just 45 minutes or less to achieve your desired result, as compared with other form of gene editing tools, and it is also less expensive to use. Yeah, so that's
okay. So
that's
can
basically.
you give examples of what use CRISPR can be for, both in the negative and in the positive side?
Yeah, so the first thing is that CRISPR can be used to solve a lot of diseases. So just like we said, Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's is basically caused by cells that are refusing to die in the body. So one thing about dead cells is that there are some cells that we call them zombie cells. So zombie cells are actually cells that can lead to cancer or lead to brain tumor or all these Alzheimer's. So what zombie cells does is that instead of dying, they tend to replicate themselves. So when they replicate themselves, they hide themselves from your blood cells so that they will become untraceable. So then they occupy a particular region and disrupt that region. So that's what those dead cells, that's what they do. So in order to cure all these things, because in every cell, there's always a DNA encoded in every cells, because DNA is like what makes up who you are.
Yes.
So
Well,
DNAs are like.
I get that, right? Just for people really to understand it in the right perspective. Okay, so we can use this CRISPR-Cas9 system or technology to cure cancer, to cure diseases, right?
Alzheimer's.
Which is
Absolutely.
which is good for humanity. Okay, but what are the things on the negative side that CRISPR can do? Because there's this news about a Chinese doctor, right, that genetically modified the DNA of a baby,
So he
and he
wanted
was
to
sentenced
inoculate.
to.
So he wanted to
Right,
inoculate
right.
some baby. He wanted to inoculate some babies, right, in China. So there's this team of lab researchers. So his name is Jing or something.
Yes.
So he wanted to inoculate babies. So he wanted to remove some HIV strands, because they performed the test on mice and they saw that it was possible. At least using CRISPR on mice infected with HIV, you can cut the HIV strands to like 50%. So it means that mice can be free of HIV like 50%, right?
The guy was arrested for 3 years.
Yeah, he was arrested for 3 years. So he was trying to inoculate babies. So he was successful, though, according to it is some bit of, we are not sure if so, but he was successful with it.
About the negative part, I am packed with someone.
Yes, Kester, please go ahead. Because every time I'm talking about the negative thing, if it's kind of dodging me, I don't understand.
That's why I stepped in, because I'm packed with that. So yes, we know that it has a lot of positive purpose and all, but you see the Cas9, right? The process of that cutting, when it cuts that strand and all. There are talks, right, by even other scientists, that there is a possibility that it can cut the wrong strand and, in turn, cause several kind of issue. You understand? And this can even lead to the same cancer that it's trying to prevent in the first place.
No, we are in a process of development. So as the year goes by,
that is not
all these things will be solved.
There is one that creeps me out, actually. The possibility of cloning, where you can have the exact same person twice.
So are you saying with CRISPR and Cas9 system, you can clone someone?
No, you can't clone with CRISPR. You can just modify what you want
in the exact
manner, what you want your baby to be, what you want
okay, sorry, I take that back. The point I was trying to make is, with CRISPR-Cas9, right? I mean, this is what this baby originally would have looked like, okay? And I'm not using CRISPR-Cas9 to doctor quite a number of things, okay? I mean, if I doctor this, it means the baby will be brilliant. I want strength. I want him to run faster than Usain Bolt. I want him smarter than Elon Musk, all of that. right?
Yes.
And I don't want him to have HIV. I don't want him to have this. I want him to live for 500 years.
The effect that this editing does to the embryo, right? It could last, not could, it will last for the future generation of that particular.
Yeah, it would be nice if you have something that could cure cancer and you can just pass it into an embryo. So DNA information, they are passed down from generation to generation. So it means you've cured cancer. So nothing like cancer can exist.
What I would just say, right? For something like this,
I think
it's the same thing I said before. For something like this, there needs to be serious regulation. You understand? Because if an individual, because from what I saw, right, a wannabe biologist in a bent out garage can use this CRISPR-Cas9, right? Can work with it if he knows what he's doing. So if there needs to be a control, a regulation that would limit the people, because yes, it has a great cause, but it shouldn't be accessible by everyone. I don't think it should. See,
it's all about regulation.
I watched an interview, right? There's this guy, he's also a biologist and a scientist, but he goes around different countries trying to have interviews with these scientists and go to their lab, see what they are doing and write about it. So he was just saying how a lot of these people, they avoid him. So one time where he had the chance to meet with a group of scientists, like, they were all busy in the lab, blah, blah, blah. So he said that he had two questions for each of them, right? That the first question is, what are they working on right now? And, when he asked that, they all started pouring, blah, 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 blah. They say, great, perfect, right? Now, second question, what is the impact of what you're working on in the next 50 years, in the next 100 years? He said they were all like looking like, well, I was just doing this, because I want. So in essence, most times, most of these guys, they don't really have a main future. It's just science, right? I might be sounding like, because I'm not a scientist, I'm not anywhere in that line, but I read and I see this.
Kesa, you are making a lot of sense. Let me just make buttress what you're trying to say, right? We currently have the world population is excess of 8 billion, right?
Yes.
And if you really look at how modern nature works, right? The way modern nature works is all of these things exist for check and balances, right?
Yes.
If you look at the cycle of things, why plants exist for the herbivorous, the herbivorous animal for carnivorous animals and all of that. It's the balance of nature, in itself, right? So when we start doctoring nature, right, we'll find ourselves in that situation where things would not run efficiently as expected. You don't want people to die.
We are doctoring
I get you. And that's why it should be regulated, right? The minute you start
no doubt about that.
the minute you start getting to the point of longevity, right? People now living for 500 years, right?
I think that's actually a good thing. That's actually a good thing.
Well, for someone like Ife that is really enjoying life, yes, it is a good thing. Okay, it's a good thing. Okay, but by the time you start looking at the implication of this on so many things, is it on social security? Is it on retirement benefits and all of that? Before you know it, now retirement age would move from 60, 65 to 125 years old. Do you understand?
The thing is, the
youth age. I'm just giving you some example. The youth age. Now you guys can't even complain that Baba 70 is a 70-year-old man should not run a country, because at 70 you are a youth. Look, going by some of this, what this technology can do. Yes, at 70 years, I mean, life just started at 70. So it's going to move from life starting at 40 to life starting at 70 or life starting at 80. So a lot of things will change about humanity the way we know it. And that comes back to the need for that balance. Okay.
Yeah, there should be
People
check
have to
and balance,
live.
right?
There should be check and balance.
Chaos and
Right.
order has to
So
like coexist. So there should be check and balance.
exactly.
But my point is just that humans, we are like the shapers of the world. And we are not just talking about Earth. We are talking about Mars, we are talking about other planets. We are meant to explore these depths, right? And if we have something that can do that, if we have innovations that can let us achieve all these things, I think it is a win for us. So right now, as we are currently speaking, we can be wiped, we can literally be wiped out by a gamma ray burst or something. There was something that happened in 2012, like there's this solar flare from the sun. So solar flare is just like it's like this this kind of energy that comes out from the sun. So it is very humongous. It is something that could really literally destroy it.
Yeah.
So it's just passed by Earth in 2012, and we all didn't know. Even scientists later had to like discover, because some satellites were like destroyed. Some satellites were destroyed, and they just had to like discover that something like that happened. So now imagine that it pointed directly at Earth, would have been gone. So if we have some kind of
I agree with you,
that
but
can
remember
help
that
us,
we also have it that there's this big bang that happens how many years again? Again, right?
13.2 billion years.
Started life.
Okay, that what led to the end of dinosaurs and what have you, the way we have it, was because of something like this, right?
Yeah.
And the earth recreated itself. Do you understand? So
We still don't know how we come about being here.
well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying that
My own point is
how I came about being here.
my own point is we have this knowledge already. So it's not something we can hide forever. We have to make use of it. We have to like be able to cure. Okay,
See,
would you be happy? Kesta, hold on. Would you be happy?
Humans are.
If is making a point, Kesta, you have to listen.
Would you be happy if you have someone that is suffering from cancer and you know there's a solution that could cure that cancer? Would you be happy if that solution can be totally eradicated? Do you know that thing about? Do you know one thing about CRISPR? CRISPR would not only cure that person, but CRISPR would cure that person down to his or her generational line. Do you know that? So it means if you are injected with, if you have cancer and you are cured of cancer, right? So if you give birth, it means your child is going to be immune to cancer for life. So it is going to be passed down from generation to generation. So my own concern, the negative side, which I think the positivity outweighs the negativity actually on my own, but the negative side is that I feel it has to be regulated, because I know that we humans, number one, we are selfish. So, someone like you can just have a kid now and you just be like, I want him to have super strength. I want him to have this. Then if everyone should start doing that, it means we are going to have like almost everyone would be smart. Almost everyone would be, all those things.
I think both of you now agree that it should be regulated. My confusion, I mean, earlier was that if I just want things to run the way it is, right? Let it run its course.
No, but if you are talking about regulated in what way?
No. That's what I really want to get the two perspective, right? My original assumption is that you don't want it regulated. Government should just allow people to use CRISPR the way they like it, right? Because that is good for technology, in your own opinion, right? People can live longer and all of that. And Kesa is 100% for regulation. He doesn't even want it to exist at all. Okay, but maybe we can come. Maybe we can come to. No. I'm saying that maybe we
whether you want it to exist or not,
now come to
something you can decide.
maybe we can have a middle ground, right? Meaning, how do we put this to a balance? Checks and balances to ensure that this thing is really advancing humanity and not necessarily becoming a burden for us. Okay, because truly, I want to see my loved ones. Yeah, but the question is for how long? Do you understand? Sometimes when too much of everything sometimes is also not of anything is not good, right? If my great grandmother is still available or around today, do you think I really would love her as much as I love my?
You won't relish the fact that you are currently missing her.
You exactly. That's my point. So that's why I really believe that this there should be a sense of balance at the end of the day, right? The humanity side of it is something we take that should be taken very seriously. So can we look at this, some of these things that we're discussing in the context of Nigeria, right? Africa, right? What will be the effect of this type of advancements in Africa, that we have high mortality rates, you know, um, you know, death at birth, the rate at which people die at the point of giving birth, all those things that for some African countries, right, it is just so normal when people die. It's not a big deal. In a country like US now, when you have an incident, I remember in the city of Buffalo I think was last year, and the city of Buffalo had like back to back cases, different cases. The first one was the mass shooting that happened. The second one, has to do with the snowstorm that they have, that about 20 something people die or thereabouts. Then they also had their football player that died, in the field of play, and that was a big deal. It was a big deal, but in Africa, Nigeria, which I'm very familiar with, people die every day, and it really doesn't make the news anymore. You understand? God knows how many deaths by accidents, how many deaths, at birth, which really doesn't make any meaning to us. Life continues even when people die. You understand? So how can this type of technology help us reshape our thought process or the value we put to life?
Well, it's for one, right? It definitely would be a good thing, like in that sense that it would help the mortality rates, reducing that, right, in the country. But I don't know if I'm ill-informed or all of this, but I believe this type of technology, they don't usually come to this part of the world on time or as it is, right? It's usually later on that, in like Nigeria, right? But thing is, for real, it will actually help in a lot of ways, but it still boils down to the same thing I said before, right? That there still needs to be regulation. And yes, we have some fairly okay educational level for medical students and scientists and all of that, but not compared to the world, right? So if it's going to come, first of all, we may need it to come with experts, right? That will be able to man this thing and then, puts us in the right perspective and have a proper control on it. And then, but I don't think that is something that is going to happen anytime soon. I'm just saying, I don't think it is. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel for Africa, I know in Africa, number one, we are selfish. That's number one. So, and I know that the European.
When things that has to do with Africa, Nigeria, Lagos Island, Lagos, there's a way it affects me when you Whether can you say we're selfish in Africa? I don't like it, please.
Blacks don't care about feelings.
I take exception to that, Ife.
Blacks don't care about feelings. Okay, but the thing is
We are
that
not selfish in Africa. That's not true. Sorry. Continue with your point.
we have the most corrupt.
Some individuals are corrupt. Not all Africans are corrupt. Sorry.
So I'm not
agree with you on that.
Yeah, I'm just
go ahead,
looking
make your point.
So the thing is, it is going to help us a lot. So it is going to, because although in Africa we are not really susceptible to some diseases that affect the Europeans, but I feel it is going to change a lot of things for we Africans. So in terms of development, in terms of what they call it, educational development. So it's going to help us on that, because if you can be able to genetically edit someone's thought process right from the embryo to the normal adult's life, if you can be able to do that, so I think it is actually a plus for us, and not just in Africa, for all over the world. It is a plus. But the thing is, we would have to wait, just like you said, we would have to wait, because Europeans would make sure that this thing is being perfected and well regulated, because before shipping it down here. So that's that.
Yeah, Kester, your own final take on this.
Yeah, when we speak about Nigeria, it's being in Nigeria and all of that, I still would just say the same thing I've been repeating, because I'm so strong on that, right? Whatever advancement that is to come or should come or is in workings as we speak, there needs to be proper regulation, right, for it, such that it doesn't get out of hand. Because the possibility of these advancements, like when you think about it away from the linear point of view, the possibility is vast.
It's endless.
It's endless, right? So imagine a truly evil person wielding one of these things that has it, because you are not really seeing a lot from it. Because when I see this negative aspect, my mind goes wild.
I think we are seeing it as I think we are looking at it as a big deal, because we are in this age. Imagine you in 16, in 18 something, and someone is telling you are going to have iPhone, you are going to have a phone, you are going to.
It's not really the same. This is like phone, right? We can still put it in our pocket. But
no, imagine someone telling you can be speaking to someone else in.
But the kind of thing we are talking about now is you are no longer carrying your phones in your pocket. Your phone is inside your body. That's the kind of tech we are looking at.
And guys, okay, so guys, hold on. What I love about this conversation and the position both of you have, right, is actually what has helped to put a balance to technology, to innovation for several years now. Okay, you would have technology drive moving at a very fast pace, and you also have the conservative side of it that is saying, hold on a second, let's put a break, this is going too fast, and all of that. And at the end of the day, there's a balance. Now, I think Ife was trying to make the point around using a car as an example. If you look at the several safety features that you have in cars today, do you understand? It's because of concerns raised by Kester, right? If you look at how AI is actually used to improve the safety in cars, you're making a turn without trafficating, and your car is pulling your hand back and saying, hey, hello, this is an accident. There's a car ahead of you. There's a car behind you, right? You're conscious. Your car is also putting you on check. It's because of your concern, Kester. So at the end of the day, and that's why regulation must be taken very seriously, which is my own take here. If you look at a country like US, the reason why you have the FDA, particularly on anything that borders on health, drug, and all of that, the FDA must review and approve before it goes through different stages, right? You understand what I'm saying? And that also moves on to other countries. In Nigeria, for example, we have NAFDAC, and all of these authorities meet at some level to ensure that all these things are put on check, right? I'm sure we'll have another topic around cryptocurrency at some point. Remember when cryptocurrency was trying to run away from regulation? We got to that point that some guy, young guy, Kester's and age mate, that was worth multi-billion dollars at the beginning of the year, end up broke, before the year runs out. And it's simply because they did everything to take away regulation from cryptocurrency. And now everybody's saying, hey, wait a second, right? You can't just talk about take people's money and you don't want it to be regulated. So somehow it's the mother of invention. When some of these mistakes happen, when we see the reality, the problem that this thing is likely going to. I mean, look at the nuclear war, or the nuclear bomb, the Hiroshima case, and all of that. When people saw the effect of what an atomic or a nuclear bomb can do, even the bad actors, the US and Russia, they came to the table and said, well, guys, we cannot continue like this. Do you understand? So in a nutshell, I think we all agree that innovation is important, right? Very important, and we must allow innovation to run its course. But at the same time, we also must be conscious of how this affects humanity, right? And bring a balance to it from a regulation standpoint. So when we talk about manufacturing babies, right, we want to be conscious of what type of babies are we, what part of that technology are we looking at, right? Yeah. Should it allow it to run, unregulated in a manner that anybody can do anything? Before you know it, it gets into the hands of Al-Qaeda, it gets into the hands of some bad actors, and you never can tell what people can do with some of this technology. These days, if you're not careful, and I'm saying this for Kester, if you're not careful with the way some of these things affect your thinking, if you have to step out of your house, you'll be so scared. Oh, what if a drone drops from the sky? And what if somebody hijacks the global network, right? And the new train that Lagos is going to be running, crashes into one another. There are so many what ifs you can imagine, like a doomsday, person. You understand?
I think perspective is actually defined by the kind of society you find yourself. So if we are talking about this, like let's say 40 years, 50 years ago, imagine you being in 1986 or 1985 or 1970. Yes. Someone is telling you are going to be talking to someone else in London. You are going to be seeing someone else. So people will be like, okay, look at the Holocaust. Look at the Holocaust, where people, they tend to like burn witches because they are practicing just simple medicine and all that. Because the perspective they had back then was different. So I feel we are not there yet. We are not there yet on gene editing, although practices has been carried out on gene editing. So, but in years to come, I know the perspective would have changed, because we really need this. We really want this
properly regulated. Yes,
it should be regulated by then. You don't be concerned about it being regulated or not. It will surely be regulated. It will be regulated because it is a powerful tool. Imagine Kim Jong-un.
I agree with you.
Imagine Kim Jong-un.
Anyways, guys, we're coming to the end of this interesting conversation, Tech Talk with Afo. But before we wrap up this week session, right? If next week, what topic are we looking at? Right? Do you want to give an hint of what next week topic will be centered around?
Yeah, we're focusing on children next week. We're focusing on technology use and
Technology
the
used
advantages
by
and
children.
disadvantages of technology used to children's and
Let me drop something that happened. Something happened to me this week, right? Maybe that would also be part of what we're discussing. So I was I was in the car, like I was driving my son to school, right? And CNN, there was a news on CNN, and it was news around, pornography, right? Access, it was really very in depth, like explaining how children are exposed to pornographic content, right? From the ages of 10 to 10 to 15, you'll be so, I mean, the way they did the statistics, like average of X amount of children have seen pornographic content from ages 10 to this and all of that. That, I mean, and I was so uncomfortable in the car. I couldn't turn off the radio. I couldn't do anything. I'm so uncomfortable in the car listening to that news, getting those facts with my 15-year-old son next to me, that they go online how to to understand sex and how it works and all, and it was a news. Do you understand? This is, as a father, as a parent, right? I don't know. I mean, I really don't know how to explain this to both of you, maybe because you are not fathers yet. They are,
Yeah.
I was so uncomfortable.
Saying this now
Yeah.
reminds me of one time where I just realized that, I mean, in those days, like probably before I was even born, right? If you
Yeah.
go to a store where they sell books, for example, books, cassettes, and stuff like that, there's a section for those pornographic materials, those books where you see ladies in bikini.
yeah.
There's always this guy sitting. If a child is, hey, don't pass. I'm serious. That's how it used to be, right? They restrict children from entering that zone because it's not for children. But now, someone that is advanced, that my child has a tab. It's a pride for the child, for the parent. Can go on TikTok and start seeing a girl doing ba 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 dance and all of that.
There's this fact that an average adolescent has seen more nakedness of women than King Solomon. Do you know that?
Imagine. That's the height. That's the height.
Okay. So, but I mean, I want to really, like, this is a statement of fact, right? We seem to um, try to run away from the truth, right? Reflecting on it now, right? I'm trying to be honest, right? I also personally have seen pornographic content from as early as 9, 10 years old. And I'm sure my parents back then felt he's a small boy and all of that. And I'm also having the same feeling with my own voice now. Like, I have a 15-year-old. And there's a news content related to sex, and I'm struggling to have that conversation with my son, because I believe he knows nothing about it yet. When even me, I know that from 9, 10 years old, I already have all this. I know how it works. I know the type of content I've seen. I have this, my brother. I know how we run behind the house to take our time to analyze everything. Anyways, so next week we'll be looking at some things around how to protect our children online, right? That's what next episode will be about. It's really been an interesting conversation. And like I said to you guys, and I think I'll keep saying this every week, if you guys are not tired about Tech Talk with Afo, Afo is not going to be tired. So I hope we can do this for a long time. I mean, right now we're getting better every day, right? Hopefully when we get to that level that we can start bringing guest speakers, people that will shed more light into some of the conversation. But I really want us to really get familiar with ourselves and get things, run so smoothly, and Tech Talk with Afo can really be, some podcast weekly show that everybody looks forward to.
Yes.
Thank you guys for making this happen. Yeah, Kester, you were going to say something.
Yes, I just wanted to call out because we have some activities on our social media, right?
Yes. How can we forget that?
Initially, we had this where we were going to gift a child from 10 to 15 years a laptop, or a tab, right? And the last time we said we had several entries, and in fact, more entries came in after then, and we got one person, right? We got one person who falls in that category, but we are still going to do our check-ins and our findings. And, if that person passes, and that's a goal, The person, so because we got one that falls in that category. In the meantime, you can keep sending your entries.
Entries.
Also, we do this every week, right? Where we want to give back, right, to our viewers, to our listeners. We want to give back. So every week we are pretty much going to be having a Q&A across all our social media platforms. Right? A Q&A where I'm going to ask you questions that was, discussed about in the session, in this episode, right? In every episode, we'll have Q&A on those. Then for those that would answer the questions correctly, the first that would answer the questions correctly would would win, not even stand a chance, would win several prizes from movie tickets. You can even win a lunch, right?
Kester, maybe I should drop this now, but I'll just talk about it a little bit. Okay. So our first episode, my very close friend, my childhood friend, right, and is someone I respect a lot. We've done quite a number of things, right? He called me and said, Afo, I like what you're doing with your friends, and I just hope that you guys would really not get tired of it and will continue. And I shared with you guys the feedback he gave us. Okay, but that wasn't the only conversation we had. My friend is a co-founder of one of the learning platform. I mean, I think we have about 3 of them. I don't want to mention names now, okay, because we are still trying to fine tune, the terms of engagement. But they have this learning platform, which a state already is using as, their curriculum, right? It comes with an internet-ready SIM, okay? It's a tab, an educational tab that comes with tutorials on WAEC, JAM, right? You can watch the tutorial, take the test, run it, and be prepared for exam even before you take it. Okay. Now, so what can putting a smile, looking at more young chaps and see who will be the next Elon Musk from Nigeria.
Helping young chaps in our own little way.
In our own little way. So Tech Talk with Afo is not just about talking about tech. We also want to have encourage techpreneurs, new technologists that would change Nigeria and Africa for good. For someone that has been into tech for almost for more than 20 years actually now, I really would like to see many more Nigerians, more young people turning things around in the tech space.
The Q&A we had for this last episode, we actually have a winner, right? At least just one person, and we are going to come through with our promise, right? And he's going to, whoever the person is, they're going to hear from us very soon.
We have a goodie bag for you.
Exactly. So that's a wrap from me.
But you have to watch this episode, though. You the winner, because if you don't.
You won't know.
You won't know.
If you want to find Tech Talk with Afo, where do you find Tech Talk with Afo, please?
So you can find us on IG, you can find us on Twitter, Techtalk with Afo, you can find us on IG, Techtalk with Afo, or you can follow Afo on IG. You can also follow Afo on Facebook. His handles are Afolabi Abiodun, so it's not difficult to know. Just is the CEO of, is the founder of SB Telecoms and the CEO of ZK So just make sure you go to each of these social media platforms and you see us there. Tech Talk with Afo.
Then on our podcast channels, you can also search for us, Tech Talk with Afo on Spotify,
Apple Music,
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and the likes. We are everywhere.